Boys, back. It is Big Mark 1977 Terran Empire, the real deal, Holyfield Negro coming at you one more time before the end of the year. Brothers and sisters, I'm here today to talk about gaming and the state of gaming and where is gaming going, but I also want to give you my game of the year, my game of the year runner-ups, and games I did not play because I don't have the money. Now, let's get to it, my niggas. Firstly and foremost, game of the year wars came on. Okay, shout outs to my Jennifer, the love of my life, her kids, Patricia, her son's girlfriend, Jordan, her son. That brother look like Bruno Mars. Real talk, real talk. I want to shout out to her daughter, who's dressed up like the blue girl from Inside. Her daughter name is Aisha. All right. Shout outs to everybody that listen to this worldwide. One love, God bless, and that's what it's at. Now, let's talk about game of the year. I watched the game of the year award show, right? And I watched the reaction to it, right? The best thing on the show, there were three for me, personally, just for me. There were a couple of games they showed that looked very nice. One was Far Cry New Dawn, and the new Obsidian game, Outer Worlds. Those two games looked the best to me. All the other winky tinky bullshit didn't do it for me. That's just me, my personal preference. That's how I feel. Okay? Now, the highlight of the show is when Chris Judge said, "Read it, boy." Yo, that shit was hot. The game of the year goes to God of War. I can agree with that. But here's a couple of things I don't agree with, right? Best story should have went to Detroit Become Human. For me personally, God of War is game of the year for the Game Awards. Detroit Become Human is my game of the year. When you go further back, some of those other awards, God of War should have won it. Let me go one step further. I am not saying Red Dead Redemption is not a good game. I am just saying it's not a well-made game. For as long as they were making it, and it's boring in places. Jesus Christ, is it ever boring? It is boring. Boring. No disrespect to those that work their heart out to make it. And I feel like, you know, being the gamer that I am, if you're going to go by the best game that I played this year, it was Detroit Become Human. Mind you, if I was going to go with the game that had the best soundtrack, it was Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I am sorry. I know some people don't want to hear that. Oh, Assassin's Creed was trash. Nigga, you lying. Anybody sitting here telling you that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is trash, they are liars and the truth ain't even in it. And I'm going to tell you why. Take an open world game. I'm going to be honest with you. The best open world I've ever seen is Horizon Zero Dawn. It is colorful. It is beautiful. You got the burst of different greens and yellows and the animals. It's hot, right? Number two open world game this generation for me personally is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I loved Assassin's Creed Origins. Origins was great. Bayek was a good character. But I am sorry. I love you, Bayek, because you was a brother and you're black, and I like that they made the ancient Egyptians black, because, you know, they ain't never gonna make us black on TV, because, you know, if you make them black, they be like, hold on, wait a minute. If the ancient Egyptians were black, we got a problem. Anyway, that's another story. We ain't going in that one. We ain't touching it. We ain't touching it. We ain't touching it. Now, let's talk about this subject that we got going on. Assassin's Creed Origins had a great story. The female protagonist, even if you played the male protagonist, the story was great. Let's go over to Red Dead Redemption. The game didn't look as good. You know, at points, it looked amazing. Did it look better than Assassin's Creed Odyssey? Odyssey? Nope. Did it look better than Horizon Zero Dawn? Nope. And another thing that I say, you know, the thing about it, when I was to get on an animal and ride in Horizon Zero Dawn, it felt like nothing was ever that far away, right? You get on a horse in Red Dead Redemption 2, you riding sometimes to feel like 20 minutes between the mission. And I think the main problem for that game is because I'll tell you something, right? Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't have no radio stations, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey doesn't have radio stations. But there's some kind of singing and sound that's back there. When you're riding on a horse in Red Dead Redemption, you know what everybody does, and nobody's going to tell you this. Everybody presses the big PlayStation button, put that boy on cruise control, and sit their controller down and wait 20 minutes till this nigga make it all the way to the other place he got to go. Everybody did that because it was really boring. Look, let me say it like this. I can play Assassin's Creed Odyssey right now and enjoy it because it's just so much more to that game as opposed to Red Dead Redemption 2. And I am sorry, I'm going to tell you something, right? And nobody ever wants to talk about this. Companies that are game companies have gigantic mistakes and ruin their reputations. I'm gonna go over some things right quick, and I wanna stress some things, right? I'm gonna stress some things to you. All right, Call of Duty franchise at its pinnacle was probably one of the best franchises to ever hit consoles. It was amazing, right? What did they do? The best Call of Duty to this day is still Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 2, in my personal opinion. Black Ops 2 was amazing. Modern Warfare 2 was amazing. These were the two best Call of Duty games I've ever played. Everything I played after that, it's not as good. So let's go over to some of these other companies outside of Activision, because I think honestly that franchise is on the decline. It doesn't seem like it because it still sells a lot, but I still think it's on the decline. That's my personal opinion. But I pay attention to gaming trends, right? Game companies go down and then they come back. Just like Sony came back from their downturn in the PlayStation 3 era, just like Capcom's coming back now because they're coming back being a great company doing great games again instead of trying to do things that people didn't want from them. Here we go. So let's talk about Rockstar. Rockstar sits at the top of the world food chain as the greatest developer. I don't agree with that. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate because people aren't going to agree with me. Grand Theft Auto 5 ain't that good of a game. And it's short and it concentrates too much on online. Here's the problem for me as a gamer. A game as a service is something I'm not going to want. If I buy your season pass and you give me all the DLC and stuff, that's it. I ain't paying for no more. When you come to me and sell me a game and I gotta constant put money into it, nigga, you dreaming. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna put that much money into a game, real talk. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just not. Sony for PC business 4 or 5 years. What happened to the gaming community? Let me dream. The gaming community will be in flames. I'm just looking at some brothers on Twitter. Anyway, back to what I'm saying. So Rockstar, I think personally, have made a mistake with this game. This game is garbage. I'll tell you why. People run around in multiplayer with a gun called the varmint rifle. It is not meant to kill people. So what they do is every headshot's a kill, which is also retarded. You can shoot a nigga 3 times in this game. He'll turn around, pop you in the head, and you're dead. I don't care what, you can shoot the pistol, the revolver, the repeater, the rifle, shotgun. If you hit in the head, you are dead. And the gun shoots so slow, the game is so... Listen, you'll be playing online. Nigga will be invisible. Mind you, he is... the game is doing lag switching, right? It's letting this person back into the game after they've been killed. You can aim your gun at this person and your gun won't lock on. You can't even shoot that person. The bullets will go through them. But if they are in the lobby enough for they to shoot you, you're dead. Tonight, I'm going to put my hand on it. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to play a couple of games of this, but I am going to delete Red Dead Redemption. Because honestly, it's not that good of a game to me. I'm sorry. Now, let's move on. Bethesda. Another company that has gotten too high on their high horse. Bethesda has made a monumental mistake. Oh, the other games are going to sell gangbusters. I'm not talking about other games. I'm talking about when a game company gets to the point to think they are the shit. And they ain't. We are the consumers, and we decide what we want to play. I wish more gamers would get on the side with me and say, you know what, we don't want games as a service. We want online multiplayer. We'll take a season pass. But this persistent online open world multiplayer bullcrap does not work. And I will tell you why it doesn't work. You get a giant world with nothing in it. The world is amazing. The world is huge. Ain't nothing in it. I'm going to tell you what they did in Red Dead, right? Niggas would go to St. Denis and slaughter the entire population. When I played online, I went to say, like, Cali is a ghost town. They killed everybody in one server, right? There was a group in the posse on the server, right? They started in New Austin. They started in Tumbleweed. Them people, I think it's about 8 of them. They systematically killed everybody in Tumbleweed, killed everybody on the road, killed everybody in Blackwater, went up to Strawberry, killed everybody in Valentine, rode over to Rose, killed everybody in Rose, then rode over to St. Denis. Literally, there are no NPCs left in that lobby. That's crazy. That's crazy. So, for me personally, I probably will never play that again. That's just me. Other developers that are making a mistake, right? They're seeing people make $600 to $1 billion off of one game, and they're trying to stick to that. But see, it's just like hip hop, and I said this on Twitter today too. What ruined hip hop? Everybody got in hip hop to make a quick dollar. Hip hop was nigga music. I'm gonna give y'all some history here to those who don't know it, right? All American music that you all celebrate all over the world is nigga music. Listen to me again. All the music that people celebrate on every continent, among every race and every creed, is nigga music. American nigga music that came out of Africa. So technically, it's African nigga music. I'm doing something. I'm live streaming. What's up? It's nigga music, right? Okay. So, let me give you some examples. Jazz, nigga music. Doo-wop, nigga music. Bop, she bop, nigga music. Rock and roll, all forms of it comes from a nigga. R&B, pop music, nigga music. Soul music, nigga music. Now, to the world, these have plenty of faces on it that are not black. But anybody would tell you that niggas taught the world how to dance and we taught the world how to sing. Nigga ways. Now anyway, let's go to video games, right? But before I go there, I'm gonna say this. What happened to this great musical tradition that was black? They let business people come in, mostly were white, some were black, and they ruined it. I remember seeing a movie called Dreamgirls, and there was a song called Patience, right? Great song. And the dude who was playing Barry Gordy at the time, Jamie Foxx, said, nobody want to hear another struggle music. Everybody's up for fun now. Nobody want to hear that struggle shit from the 60s. Maybe he was right. But at the same time, it was bad. he basically pushed the industry in the wrong direction in that movie. I know it was a movie, but I'm pretty sure they do that for real. Just like hip-hop. Hip-hop music was about struggle, uplifting, having fun. Then all of a sudden, it became nigga, boom, boom, bang, F the police, and all the rest of it. They ruined it. Rock and roll. Rock and roll was closer to R&B. That's basically where it comes from, right? So, in some country, I'm not even going to say country music did not have an influence on rock and roll, but mostly it was the juke joints in the South. Look it up, people. If you don't believe me, I'm just telling you. So they came in and they ruined rock and roll. Ruined it. And they didn't ruin it because different colors of people started to do the music. We ain't never got a problem with that. You can do something that's black and take it into your own. Black folks ain't got that kind of racism built to them. You know, people can do our culture all day. We don't give a shit. But when we have a problem with something is when you take something and you corrupt it. And they corrupted rock and roll. Now, that's not to say rock and roll didn't have great stars who were non-black. Chuck Berry, one of the first rock and rollers. Little Richard, one of the best rock and rollers. Jerry Lee Lewis, white guy, great rock and roller. Elvis Presley, king of rock and roll. You know, the Beatles, the Monkees, the Animals. You know, I go through a lot. See, I like old music. I don't listen to up-to-date shit because it's all garbage. Garbage. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what don't happen right with music before I go back over to games, right? The musicians look better, but the music sound worse. Ain't that the way the world is right now? I want y'all to know that somebody gonna bite this on Twitter because I'm about to put it on Twitter. Music is like this today. The musicians look better, but the music sounds worse. You know, I listened to this group called Not the World, Ready for the World, whatever, and they sounded saying, Let Me Love You Down. One of the best sounded songs I've ever heard. Yo, it's a deep, good song. Right? But I listen to up-to-date music. It's just terrible. Now, there's a couple of people now that's pretty good, but mostly it's garbage. Now, let's go back into gaming. Let's talk about where we at. Where we at right now is that gaming is in trouble. I don't mean financial trouble, but it's starting to have an identity crisis, right? Firstly, let me say this as a person of color. When I say person of color, I know people sometimes don't like that because there's a lot of different people of color. There's Asians who are of color. There are white people who technically are people of color too. There's, oh, white people ain't people of color. If you're white, white is a color. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. All right? So, as a person of color, I don't mind that if the main character is white. But I sometimes wonder why you make every character white. Let me tell you something. Most of the games I used to play back on the PlayStation 1 and 2, 90%, if not 100%, of all the characters in those games were white. I think Scarface, if you can call Scarface a non-white character who played a Cuban, that was it. CJ from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. You know what they would come back at you with? Well, what about an NBA? Realize something though. In the sports games, there are white people in the sports games. Real talk. You will play a video game. If you take a video game from the 90s, I'm talking about really popular video games. Let's take the first Resident Evil, right? There was one black character in Resident Evil. One. And he was dead on the ground, got his head ate off. One. We go over like Asian, right? I would play a game that comes from Asia. And the only game I could remember from a long time that had an Asian character was Shenmue 2 and 1. Most of the characters were, you know, and I felt like, wow, this is really different to play a game where ain't nobody white. It's just like the thing with Hollywood. They make every person white. And you do know these people ain't white. I've seen Genghis Khan when I was a kid played by a white man. Even though Genghis Khan ain't a white man. He's a Mongolian. And last time I checked, Mongolians ain't white. I'm finna get in trouble. I've seen white men play Pharaoh, but a black man can't play James Bond. Ain't that fucked up? You do know the pharaohs were real people, right? And there were plenty nigga pharaohs. Plenty. They often talk about the 22nd dynasty, but there were Negro pharaohs before that. Ramses the Great was a nigga. Strong black nigga who pissed off God. But that's another story. Let's not go into that one. Now, let's talk about the problem with gaming a little farther. The problem is that people who sit on both sides of the issue should not care if you play as a female character or a male character, right? That's another problem. I don't understand. Well, we want the game to be historically accurate. Okay, let me say this then, right? For you historically accurate people, firstly, if you take a gun in real life and be a soldier and get shot in the head, let's see your ass respond and come back and fight somebody else. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That's the first thing you got to understand is that's not historically accurate. I remember back in the day when Medal of Honor was coming out and they had this big argument about is it authentic or not. What? The game is a game. It's not real. Ain't no way you won't get killed and come back unless you Lazarus. I'm just saying. So, you know, they had the controversy about Battlefield and other games having female soldiers in it. Listen to me, brothers and sisters, there were female soldiers. The thing about it, though, is, and just like it is in real life, if a man gets his hands on a woman, in most cases, it's pretty much over. You can kill her pretty easily because women are weaker than men. But here's something that you need to know about history, though. There were these women called Amazons that lived in central, I don't know where, but there was an Amazonian homeland at one time, and they were a pretty strong fighting force. I'm pretty sure in history, well, they say the Romans destroyed the Amazons. Some people say the Greeks did, but either way, they're gone. Let me go further. They say across the continent of Africa and Asia and other places, there were plenty of females who were great fighters and sometimes leaders. Jubei in Japan. She led the Japanese forces against the Mongolians' first invasion. Jubei was a chick. Nobody ever talks about Jubei, but Jubei was a chick. Mulan. There were many chicks in China who could be called Mulan. Just not the one they show on Disney. She wasn't the only one. There was other female fighters who helped save China. Middle East. What's that chick name? I forget her name, but she was a strong woman that led her people against invasions. You got the chick from Greece who led her people against the Turks. Joan of Arc, who led the French against the English and the Burgundians. It's a part of history. Not every female's a wallflower. I'm sorry. Now, the majority, yes. Not every. And I feel like it's a point of freedom if you wish to play with a female character. That's all I'm saying. Let's go over the characters of color. For every one female character you would see near zero females of color or females of color, period. You know, let's male, a black male, right? Now, the reason why I say black male, it's the most extreme from white, right? Okay, let me say this. The most extreme that you get from white. Okay, here we go. I gotta say this the right way. If you put an Asian person in a game, that's not as a biggest shock to people and then they see a black person. I'll give you an example, right? Black Panther, which is probably the best movie that Marvel has ever done, tanked in China because it did well all over the rest of Asia. It did well in Australia, it did well in Europe, it did well throughout Africa, it did well in Latin America, it did well everywhere. And a lot of them places, they don't like niggas either, but it did well. You gotta be one racist son of a bitch to not like Black Panther. But they love Jason Momoa's movie, Aquaman, right? I think the Chinese don't know Jason Momoa is not a white man. Because they're gonna find out he's not a white man. And they're gonna find out he married to a black woman with some half-breed black kids. They're gonna be like, oh, wait a minute. I'm just joking. I don't know. I'm just making shit up. I don't know anything about that. I'm just saying. So, in the gaming world, I like a story-driven game. I like a game with a length and storyline. I even like open world games, but the way they're pushing open worlds, it's starting to give people fatigue. That's the problem. The thing is, if we're going to do a story about places around the world, why in the world that we never talk about other things in history? I'm going to give you an example, right? Give you an example. Let's take color out of it. Let's do culture. Let's do culture. Charlemagne. Let's talk about Charlemagne, the great Charlemagne, who was the leader of the Carolingian Empire, the Holy Roman Empire guy, right? I've never heard of him until I turned about 20. They never even talked about this guy in history class. Who is Charlemagne? I had no idea that the Vikings took over England until I seen it on TV. That tells you something about the education system here, right? So let's talk about the rest of the world. I'm being honest, and I'm going to say this as an American. And this is the problem for us as being Americans, because we don't know nothing, right? For us as Americans, Europe is France and England. Asia is Japan and China. Though there's way more over there in Asia than Japan and China. There's a lot of different kind of people, just not Chinese and Japanese. There's Filipinos, there's Vietnamese. You get it, right? Africans, everybody African is just black or African American. There's many different cultures and peoples and tongues all over that continent. Latin America. Everybody who's Latin American was a Mexican. Every Muslim, Saudi Arabian. That's just we as Americans don't see the world as complex as it really is. So video games have actually taught people things about the world history they didn't know about. I'm being honest, and I'm one of them, not going to admit it. Let's talk about the rest of the world. Sometimes, now I think about it, I wish I was kind of born in a different country. Because America is almost like a world unto itself. You know, when they talk about the Greek world, or the Muslim world, or the African world, or the Latino world, right? Because everybody got their own world, right? When you mention the Asian world, you're talking China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, all these. This is all Asia, right? Right? But when you talk about the American world, it's just America. It ain't Mexico, it ain't China. It's the 50 states of the United States. And the thing about it is, America technically is not one country. It's 50 countries stuck together into one state. That's all it is. So, you know, I don't got completely sidetracked. I don't got off my game. I'm sorry, people. Let me get back to the video game thing. So, back to the gaming world. This year's games were good, right? So, where are we going for the future? There's a PS5, there's an Xbox Scarlet, it's whatever's whatever. Okay. Tomato. What is the future? My opinion is the PS5 is either going to drop late in 2019, early 2020. Whatever. But that's the model. Will it be the most powerful console on the market? No. Will it be extremely powerful? Yes. Why am I saying it's not going to be the most powerful console on the market? Because it doesn't have to be. If you're giving me 4K 60 across the board, that's all I need. I hope, personally, they think about doing 3 tiers of action for the consoles. Okay, let's say you give me 4K 60 at medium settings inside my game. 1440p max settings in my game at 60 frames a second. 1080p, 120 frames a second, ultra settings on my PlayStation 5. I'll take that all day long, and I will be happy with it. Xbox One Scarlet. Personally, I'm not a Microsoft guy. a little bit of my game history. I had the 360. I enjoyed it, but it was more from the relationships I made rather than the console I played. It wasn't that good of a game console. It was a good console that you could meet people on, but it was not a console to play games on besides Call of Duty. Alright, let's move on. Next year brings us Resident Evil 5. A buy. Kingdom Hearts 3. That's a buy. I'm also buying Battlefield early next year. I'm putting $60 on my PlayStation account so I can have a year of PlayStation Plus buys, right? Let's move over to what's the rest of the year. Am I buying The Division 2? A buy. Am I buying Devil May Cry 3, 4, or 5, whatever it is? No, I'm not. Am I buying Anthem? No, I'm not. Am I buying Days Gone? Yes. Am I buying the next Call of Duty if it doesn't have a storyline? No. Am I buying the PlayStation 5 if it come out this year? Next year, excuse me? Yes. Am I interested in any other games that are not announced that may come out next year? Of course. That's just me. What I don't want to do moving forward is to buy consoles that do not produce anything. You know? I will say this once again about games as a service. Games are not a service. They're not. And if you want to move your games into being a service, I'm being honest, you're about to destroy the video game industry. You're about to destroy the video game industry, and people are going to move away from it. And then something else is going to come by and become big, and all these assholes in the big, what they call mainstream thing, and they're going to ruin it. Let me give you an example about what I mean mainstream, right? And what I don't like about it. I'm going to talk about politics right quick, right? Right now, there's a politician, and I love her. And actually, there's four that I love a lot, right? There's Alexandria Cortez. There's I know her name because they always talking about her 24/7. If the other three chicks, I mean, no disrespect, I like you too. I just don't know your name, okay? I like the girl who's Somali. She's beautiful. I like the black chick from Massachusetts. She's beautiful. And then there's a spam burger lady. I think her name is that. And the thing about it is that I like about these women is they'll take no prisoner situation. My fear is they're going to go to Washington, D.C. and get corrupted. Corrupted. And that's what happens to everything that becomes big in the United States of America. It becomes corrupted. Yo, real talk, down to the criminal activities in this country. If it becomes too big, it gets corrupted. It gets co-opted. I should say that, not corrupted. It gets co-opted. Real talk. Apple somehow gets more than just Sony Pictures. Also gets, I expect Sony going to iPhone, maybe the Mac community in disarray. But that's a big if. None of this could even easily happen. I missed the part when Sony was about to sell PlayStation. Probably don't want, but I want to put speculation out there that if Sony guys wouldn't hold the same energy. I would hold the same energy. I would not like it. Period. Now, back to the gaming channel. Sorry about that. PlayStation 5. Here's something that we have to think about though as gamers. What is the PlayStation 5 capabilities? What is the Xbox Scarlett's possibilities? What kind of HDR are we going to need? Is there a specific kind of HDR that's going to be made specifically just for games? Or are we going to be using Dolby Vision, HDR10 plus, HDR10? What is the criteria of this whole thing? They need to settle on what they want to do. Is HDR a standard for televisions, for gaming and movies and TV shows, or it's not? And if it's not, then please stop putting all this crap out here. Just saying. Another thing we have to think about for the next generation. I want I want sequels to all of Sony's last gen console games. Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man, even though I didn't play Spider-Man. We still want sequels. Sorry about that. We still want sequels to those things, right? So today is a day where we think about the future. The future of gaming can't come unless we as consumers do the right thing. You can't go along to get along to say this is what we want to play. If games as a service is the future that you people are aiming for, then you're about to kill the industry. I'm just telling you like it is. You're going to kill the industry. You're going to kill it. Because when you pay for it, think about this. Think about anything you buy. If you buy a car, and let's say a car is a service, right? A car is a service. So every time you turn around, you got to buy another piece to put into your car every 200 miles. You would sell that car. I think I'm done.